thank you so much for watching and welcome back. For anyone who's new here, my name is Steff and welcome to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with a video that are the 5 things I wish I knew before traveling to St. Barts. I love making videos like this because it really gives you some information and insight if you're planning to go to a specific place, so that way you're a little bit more prepared and you have an even better time. So if you're interested in knowing the 5 things that I wish I knew before going to St. Barts, then please keep watching. The first thing that I wish I knew before traveling to St. Barts, whether or not I needed European money. So if anyone knows, even though St. Barts is in the Caribbean, it's owned by France. So it's an island of France, even though it's closest to the US. So their currency are euros. So I thought I was gonna have to exchange dollars for euros, but actually for anyone who's traveling there, you can rest assured use US dollars. Interesting, because we've been to a few islands in the Caribbean even recently, and it was very interesting to find out that their currency are euros. So that's really, really cool. Just to give you a heads up before you go. Everywhere accepts credit cards for the most part. I think we only really encountered 1 or 2 places where they were cash only or they didn't take Amex. So that's pretty common, so it was nothing out of the ordinary. But credit cards are usually accepted, and tipping in US dollars is also good to go. While on the subject of money, something that I found really, really interesting was that there's no tax in St. Barts. None. There's no tax on food, clothes, on anything. They do not tax you at all. So you can buy something really expensive and not have to worry about the hundreds of extra dollars you have to shell out for the tax, which is amazing. Which also means that like you can go crazy shopping and actually save money. And I know recently the euro has been pretty equal to the dollar, so things are actually priced so much lower in St. Barts. All of the retail stores that we went into that also have like shops around the world, everything's about 20% cheaper in St. Barts. So not only are you saving money on the tax and no longer need to make sure you get the tax forms, worry about the VAT tax or anything like that, there's no tax and everything is about 20% cheaper. I think I'm gonna do another video where I show you guys everything that I bought there and compare the 2 prices. You can look all this up yourself. I'm not lying to you, but if you are someone who wants to do a lot of damage shopping, then I highly recommend that you go to St. Barts and bring an extra empty suitcase, because you're gonna wanna take advantage of the shopping there. And no tax, literally. I'm not joking. There's not tax on one thing that's there. Honestly, my biggest recommendation is to just go to St. Barts with no skincare and no like bags, meaning like no luxury bag, no like evening purse, not even a beach bag. You're gonna wanna buy that stuff when you get there, because they're known for having like that like really cute MC2 beach tote. A lot of resorts give you your own tote when you go to your like villa or hotel, and everyone walks around with them. Buy the skincare that's there, use it for the week, and your first day there, head to the shops, do your shopping, and use all your goodies while you're there, and then your suitcase will be a lot emptier for the way home and you can fit all your new things in there. I did not do that, and I really wish that I did, because we had a severely overweight bag on the way back. So the next thing I didn't realize about St. Barts before I went there is how it's really more European than Caribbean. It's located in the West Indies, but they call it the French West Indies. It's really so influenced by France. When I was there, I really felt like I was back in Europe. I did not feel at all like I was in anywhere similar to Grenada or Aruba or anything like that. I really did feel like I was in Italy or France. And I'm someone who's been to those places a few times, so I can definitely speak to it. Just the like the architecture and the influence on the culture there. Everyone there is either French, definitely speaks French. That is the language of choice there. Not the language of choice, that is the language of St. Barths. You really just feel like you're in France. You don't feel like you're in a place like Aruba. More of like a remote, secluded city type rather than a third world tourist destination type of place, if that makes sense. It really just reminds me a lot of Positano, and when I would go to where my family's from in Italy and Calabria. That's really the vibe that I get with the beach clubs and having, you know, the siesta downtime in the middle of the day, the work hours, the vibes. Everything there is very similar to how it is in Europe. It's also insanely safe there, and that's coming from the people who live there. Not only did I feel it, but it was told to me when I would speak to like sales associates and other people that live there. They'd be like, the island is insanely safe. You don't have to worry about anything there, which is a really refreshing feeling when you're going on vacation, especially from the US or from New York, where when you cross the street, you always want to be holding on to something. You want to be prepared just in case. Not that like New York is scary or anything, but just normal cautiousness. And there, you don't really need to have that cautiousness because there weren't any bad parts of town. There weren't any sort of people walking around and just you getting like a negative vibe. It was a very relaxing, safe vibe there, and it just added so much to the vacation for you to enjoy, to not worry. Like, I felt very comfortable having my designer things out by my beach chairs, not worried and feel like I have to keep an eye on my stuff. Plus, everyone there probably has nicer things than I do, so they don't really care about my stuff anyway. Even after speaking to a lot of the locals there, they said with complete confidence, that's why I live here, because it is so safe. I definitely agree with that. I can definitely vouch for the fact that the environment that it is there just feels really comfortable and really safe.
Hi, Lucy. Oh, hello. You want to say hi to my friends? Say hi to the camera. Hi.
The next thing that I recommend knowing before you go to St. Barths is a little lengthy one. Definitely an important one. Getting around St. Barths can be easily learned and really quick to learn to navigate. What's most common is to rent a car. And I highly recommend you do rent a car. Just be aware of a couple of things. The roads in St. Barths are still recovering from like this massive hurricane that they had a few years ago, and they're continuing to just rebuild it, which is great, and they've done a great job. But the roads are very not well paved. It's very harsh on like the wheels. So if you're going to be driving around, just be cautious that the wheels of the car that you're renting may be very worn down, not because the car is not good, but because the roads there are just so terrible. There's a lot of wear to those wheels. So if you're gonna be renting a car, I highly recommend that you really look at the wheels and maybe request to have a fairly newer car with less mileage on it, like very minimal mileage, because then that means it's been through the roads a lot less, and the wheels will be a little bit better to grip the floor because they get a little shredded, honestly. When driving in St. Barths, the roads are really narrow and very windy and very hilly. And when I say hill, I don't mean this. I mean like steep roller coaster hills. It's very intimidating. The island is small, so it's really quickly to get around. Everything was about 5-10 minutes away. I think the furthest drive we needed to go was maybe 15 minutes. It's not so much that there's like a lot of traffic or anything like that. Everyone that's driving around is extremely patient, so you don't have to worry about road rage. It's definitely needed, especially if you're staying in a villa. If you're staying at a hotel that's very centrally located, I think the only one is really the Eden Rock. then you can walk to a lot of places. But St. Barts is the kind of place where you really do want to get up and go. You want to go to multiple different places throughout the day. There's a lot to do and a lot to see. So you're gonna want to come and go as you please. Most restaurants and spots will offer valet. It's usually about 17 euro or 20 US dollars. And you can pay in US dollars if you want to, or you can put it on your card. Most places will just accept a credit card, which is awesome. A lot of opportunities for you to park your car whenever you're going to the main parts of the island. There's street parking, but that's usually taken up because I believe street parking is free. Just make sure you look out for the street signs to make sure that you're allowed to park there. And there's metered public parking, like a little parking lot, and it's so cheap. It's 15 cents for a half hour. So if you're out for like a few hours, it's gonna cost you pennies to leave your car there. There's a lot of opportunities to park. There's a lot of very affordable parking options. A lot of the times during the week when we would go out to eat, we wouldn't have to pay for parking at all. Everything was very convenient. We could park somewhere very close to where we were eating. The only times that we had to really valet was probably on the weekends when we were going to like a very popular beach club. It's also not the easiest to really get a cab. The only way I think we would be able to get a cab, we didn't use any sort of cabs when we were there, we used our car, would be through our personal concierge that we had, and it was very pricey. I think it was gonna be like $100 to go about 5-10 minutes away from our villa. So I didn't think that that was really worth it. So we just ended up driving, and the rental rates really are not bad. Their vary to the different seasons, but I think for 6 nights that we were there, it was about 550 US dollars for us to rent the car. Gas is pretty expensive, but we only used up a half a tank during our entire week there. So a half a tank gas cost us 50 euro. So that is pricey, but like I said, we did a lot of driving and we only used up a half a tank because everything is about 5-10 minutes away. So you're not going on these really long drives where you'll be wasting a lot of gas. Just be cautious when you are driving, and maybe it might have like rained or drizzled a little bit, because we did get into a little bit of car trouble one of the first nights that we were there. We were definitely new to driving. Because the roads are just so poor, when they're wet, it's worse. In order to get to our villa, we had these 2 really steep roads, and they were a little bit private, like only the people who lived there used them. So I think it was our residents and one other. It was kind of like you turn a corner and there was like a mirror to like show you whether or not somebody was coming down, because it's a 2-way, but it only fits like 1 car each way. There's like no room for like 2 cars to go. So if you're up on that steep hill and somebody's coming down, like one person has to somehow back up or down that steep hill and that curve and everything. So it's a little, like I said earlier, it's intimidating. And we're going up the hill, and you really need to accelerate when you're at the bottom to get that momentum to bring you up. But the key to doing the really big hills, which I didn't know, which one of the locals taught me, because I was the one that did all of the driving when we were there, they said that you accelerate to get the momentum, but you have to stay at 1 medium speed. When you're up on the incline, don't like speed up extra, because then your wheels are gonna spin, and that's what happened to us. And then the road was wet, so then we started to slide down a little bit. All the cars are automatic, so you don't have to worry about doing anything manually, but it's just because the roads suck. That's really what it is. Something else to really take note of if you're gonna rent a car in St. Barts is that I think the cars typically don't have a backup camera. So I would practice maybe parking without looking at your screen, because I know that every car here pretty much has a backup camera, which we all use religiously for everything, or even like a side camera. Those don't really come in the cars that they rent. I'm sure you can request it, maybe they find one, but I think the norm is to not have one. I did not see 1 car that had it. Just keep that in mind, that if you're somebody who can't really back into anywhere or like a spot or something like that without your camera, maybe somebody else should be driving. Make sure that you have some sort of GPS system. It's really easy to like learn the island. You're gonna be traveling from place to place. You're gonna need to know how to get around, and it's just somewhere new and it's just the safest option. We definitely used our Waze and Google Maps the entire time that we were there. So that brings me to my last thing. Actually, the last thing that I recommend is you're gonna need some sort of data plan. I know internationally, like Verizon does the $10 a day. That's perfect, and it gives you a certain amount of data, and you can use your phone like you would here normally, but it's 100% necessary. Don't think that you could go internationally and just rely on the Wi-Fi. A lot of places have Wi-Fi, the restaurants do, the resorts do. There's a few places that don't, and there isn't just universal free Wi-Fi. And a lot of the times you're gonna be visiting places that don't necessarily have Wi-Fi. They're not indoors. Maybe you're visiting or seeking a view or something like that. It's just your safest option to not only navigate yourself around the island. I think it's the safest option. I recommend it. We use data, like we actually planned on only one of us using an international plan, and we actually ended up opening for both of us to use it because that's how necessary it was to make a phone call, send text message, and use our GPS system when we were there. Okay, actually I lied. There's one more thing that I wish I knew before going to St. Barts. So this is the fifth and final thing that I recommend you know before you go to St. Barts or when you're planning your trip. I don't think that it is necessary for you to explore the hikes that are in St. Barts. Unless you are a professional hiking person with a lot of experience on a lot of real hikes. I'm not talking about like, oh, I hiked when I was in LA and I saw the Hollywood sign. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about legit mountain climbing. Just don't do it. It is not a regulated tourist attraction. You can check it out in my video on how it is. There's no walking path. The views, you can get views anywhere. You literally could get a beautiful view anywhere. Don't think that like you have to do this hike in order to see something really pretty. You can see something pretty everywhere. You can drive to somewhere really high up if you want that aerial shot or anything like that. These hikes, they're not cut out for the average visitor, I would say. And there's no map, there's no sign, there's no walking path, there's nothing. You have to figure it all out on your own. I just don't think that it's necessarily worth it. When you're planning your itinerary, I mean, you can totally do it and let me know if I was right, but I just don't think that it's worth it. I did a lot of research before going on the trip. There were about 3 hikes that we wanted to do. We ended up only doing 1, and we didn't even enjoy it in any way, shape, or form. It was not a great experience at all. It was really unsafe, and we just did not feel good about it. So I would never recommend something like that to any of you guys. So like I said, unless you are extremely well trained in this, then I wouldn't even bother doing any of the hikes. Save that time to explore another beach, to enjoy some food, just relax at your villa, in the pool, in the water. Don't waste your time on it. I really wouldn't. It's just very unsafe. You can see for yourself in my video, and then you can make that judgment call if you would have been able to do it. But it took us beyond hours. It's just really, it's not cool, honestly. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys found this video helpful. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks, bye.